Good evening, New York City. Welcome to the fabulous Feinsteins, 54 Below. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
And
Hi, everybody.
You've seen him in Les Miserables. You've seen him in so many shows, and he writes two really good shows. Fanny Hill, right? And I'm honored to have him here. So please welcome to the stage, Ed Dixon.
Isn't this amazing? I've known all of these people for 50 years. This is just crazy. I've been in 15 Broadway shows. But you know what they say? You always remember your first. For me, that was No No Nanette with Ruby Keeler and Busby Berkeley. We went into rehearsals in 1970. So Pippin was a big hit. Jesus Christ Superstar was just about to open. And there we were at Broadway Arts Rehearsal Studio singing T for two and two for two. We thought we were in the biggest bomb of all time. Then we went to Boston for the first out-of-town tryout, and $1 million worth of sets and costumes arrived. At the first preview, when the overture got to T for Two, the audience applauded. And when they got to I Want to Be Happy, they cheered. And we're all standing backstage like, really? Comes time for Ruby Keeler's big entrance. She appears at the top of a grand staircase, and the audience goes nuts. Who knew they even remembered her? She starts down the stairs, but pauses at the landing to wait for them to stop applauding. They won't stop. So Ruby starts to cry. Helen Gallagher's waiting for her at the bottom of the stairs. Helen Gallagher is made out of steel. She starts to cry. Eventually, Ruby makes it down to the deck, picks up a ukulele, and starts to sing, I want to be happy. And then she starts to dance. It is magical. The audience is hypnotized. The number builds and builds, and finally, Ruby starts to do trenches. Trenches are hard. Ruby is 60 years old, and since she starts them, she has to do them the longest. Then the line of dancers behind her joins in, then the line behind them, and then finally those of us on the staircase who could dance the least join in. We get to the end of the number. Ruby throws her hands in the air. The audience jumps out of their seats and throws their programs in the air, like cadets graduating at West Point. And we're all standing on stage crying because we just realized this is not a bomb. This is a big hit. Eventually, we load into the 46th Street Theater. A pre-made hit. All we have to do is survive opening night. Now, in those days, all the critics came on one night, not spread out over weeks like they do today. The pressure was unimaginable. But opening night, everything's going right in the pocket until we get to the end of Act 2 of a 3-act musical. It's time for Casey Townsend's entrance. Casey Townsend was a showgirl, 6 feet tall, platinum blonde hair, and truly bodacious tatas. And she talked like this. She wore an extremely low-cut costume. People used to say to her, Casey, aren't you afraid you're going to come out of that dress? And she'd say, tip of the iceberg, tip of the iceberg. Unkind people used to say she was dating the mafia. Not a mobster, the whole mafia. She also liked pills. Nobody liked pills in 1970, but Casey did. She was upstairs on her usual load of pills, which would have been fine. But somebody had given her one of those little complimentary bottles of booze for opening night. And she was nervous, so she popped it. When that booze hit those pills, Casey went into a stupor, but nobody knew it because we were all downstairs singing Tea for Two. Comes time for her entrance. We're all standing on stage in a beautiful pastel semicircle with Bobby Van standing at center stage. This is his comeback after decades of obscurity. Everything depends on this one night. We all look to our left. No Casey. Eventually, she stumbles onto the stage, too stoned to stand up. She rocks forward and almost goes over on her face, but at the last second, she rocks back on her high heels and everything jiggles like jam. The audience thinks it's hilarious. And we're like, ashen. She only has one line, "Hi, Jimmy." She manages to get that out, and 2 lines later, it's the end of the act. The curtain comes down, and as sure as it clears, Bobby Van, he swings around and smacks Casey right in the kisser. She goes down to the ground, he jumps on top of her and begins throttling her. I'm not making this up. The stagehands separate them and lock Casey outside the stage door. It's January, 20 degrees, snow flurries in the air, and she's beating on the metal door with her lily-white arms. "Let me in! What'd I do? What's wrong?" The management divides up her lines and dance steps between 2 other gals, and we're going into the 3rd act without her. Pat Leisinger told me the story. She said, "I'm sitting on stage frantic, going over Casey's lines, which I've never said before, and suddenly I hear the door latch behind me. I look back, Casey has gotten back into the theater and made it onto the stage. But the cold air had sobered her up. She makes it through the big dance number, gets to the end of the play, and everybody gets a rave review, including Casey. But Bobby Van can't stand it, so he brings her up on charges. 3 o'clock in the morning, he gets a phone call from New Jersey. "I suggest you drop the charges." He did. And that's how No No Nanette became a great big Broadway smash. I wanted to sing Tea for Two for you guys, but I didn't have the sheet music. So I wrote a little arrangement, and I learned something. When I was 20, I thought Tea for Two was really dumb. But now I'm not 20, and I think I may have been a little too hasty with my assessment of Tea for Two. Here's my arrangement. Picture you upon my knee, just tea for two, and two for tea, me for you, and you for me alone. Nobody near us to see us or hear us, no friends or relations on weekend vacations. We won't have it known, dear, that we own a telephone. We will raise a family A girl for you, a boy for me. Can't you see how happy we would? I want to be happy, but I won't be happy till I make you happy too. Thank you.